I'm listening to you and I'm just thinking like, okay, I watch all these debate shows which aren't that great on the news, like Good Morning Britain and BBC News and all these people that have this where they have these conversations. And every time they have this conversation, it's so surface level. Like we've never gone past the let's move forward. Like even the whole diversity thing, or that the whole Rule Britannia thing. Should we sing it or should we not? No one in the black community even knows the words of Rule Britannia. No one gives a shit. No one really cares.
No.
But why? So the BBC decided to do this, and now it becomes a big thing. And now everyone's like, "Oh my god, look at BLM. They're taking over everything." And it's like it's you know what they're doing, but there's nothing you could do about it. And the conversation, and I know right now you said you killed them with intellect. My own worry is that there's not that many intellectuals in the world anymore.
No.
There's not many people that can have these conversations that have depth and nuance. There's not many people that can say I'm wrong. You know, like I watch these debate shows. Not one person has been like, actually, you're right. You know, I'm waiting. I'm hoping somebody's one day is going to be like, you know what? You convinced me. You changed my mind, because that's what a whole point of a conversation is, to elevate your own knowledge. And I don't see it anymore. I don't see, and something as complex, as deep rooted as white supremacy, like it's, as you said, like it's in our own culture. Like it's in the people that it oppresses. Like even they believe it doesn't exist. So how are we even going to start dismantling it on a wider level? And for me, I'm very I would like to say realistic but pessimistic about the situation. But I still feel it's worth having the conversation. I still feel you have to plug away. You still feel like you have to, if protesting is your thing, protest. If it's anything's drawing attention to it, at least it's drawing attention to it. And if you can change one person's mind, then you don't know what that can do in 100 years, 200 years. Right?
That's pretty much how I see it. Like, anytime there's an opportunity to have a conversation, anytime there's an opportunity to educate somebody, I'm full for, that's my role. That's my life in depth. I will have that conversation at any point in time, but I'm just realistic about, and I guess, as you said, pessimistic about its actual effect, more than just maybe changing the mind frame of that one person, that one individual that was sitting on the fence and saying, well, you know, all lives matter. And I'm like, okay, well, let's break down what it means when we say Black Lives Matter. And then they come and hit me with, oh yeah, but you know, it's a leftist agenda. And they just say, well, it's a leftist agenda. I'm like, okay, so tell me your sources. You know, in history, we're told, we're taught about sources and evidence, you know, to back up what you're saying. What's your sources? And I watched something on YouTube. And I'm like, well, mate, you can't really have any, I said to one guy, I said, mate, you can't have any kind of intellectual conversation with me and you're quoting sources from YouTube. I think you need to go back to the drawing board, do some proper reading. I'm going to send you, I'm actually going to entertain, I'm going to send you some things to read. I'm going to send you some things to watch those things, and if you're still sitting on the fence after that situation, then let's have another conversation. I'm welcome to have another conversation with you. And I never heard from him again, because, you know, for you to turn around to tell me that your evidence that where you collated it comes from YouTube, or I was watching something on Good Morning Britain which said this, then, you know, and as I said, and in terms of not just the intellect of people, the mindset, we're moving into a more individualistic period where moral consciousness is shaped by individual rather than a collection of groups. Religion or not, like our moral compass has moved away from, you know, in all senses of the word, a godless society where people just literally think about themselves and their opinion matters more than anybody else's. And you see that within education. Like, I feel like when I'm teaching, I'm just teaching. I haven't got time to focus on building the whole child and building their sense of moral identity or shaping their moral compass. I'm concerned, can this child do 2 + 2? Can this child write with a capital letter and full stop? And it's all very individualistic. There's no more, you know, even little things like circle time and sharing of ideas and sharing of this. That's why we have, we have the issues that we have in society plaguing our communities, like knife crime. Even though when I talk about knife crime, I'm talking about that within the wider scope of crime in general. There's no
Yeah.
special, there should be no special highlight given to knife crime. It's crime. It's crime, but they want to play on this, idea of it being solely exclusive to the black community,
Which
because
is actually false. Which is
which is a
actually
false
false
narrative. Of
because
course, it's a false
it's actually a
narrative.
false narrative anyway. Yeah.
Exactly. And they want to push it in that direction because then people will be like, well, I heard on GMB when Piers Morgan said this, and so my sources are Piers Morgan. So it's just like, where do we even begin in terms of the way that society is moving, in terms of their moral compass is shaped on an individual basis? There's no kind of collective ideals of X, Y, and Z, because then you have people seeing the death of George Floyd, or in the general, I've watched people, the number of deaths that happen. Oh, if he just didn't resist, if she just didn't resist, if she just,
It's
and
so sad.
it's sickening, because I'm thinking about interactions that I've had with the police that have been very negative. But my mum had this little book that she had. It was called and growing up in the 70s and the 80s in Britain, there's this in sus laws, and where you were suspected just because you were black. So there was literature given out for you with your rights, on a little yellow card. And my grandmother said to her, you need to carry this around you everywhere. So when the police stop you, you know exactly what you need to do. So those things were enforced with me. So when I had interactions with the police, I never needed to be ignorant. I just, again, gave them, and I studied law as well. So
There you go.
helped, that sort of helped as well. But I had the tools around me to um, communicate and navigate with them in the way that, yeah, you're never going to get what you're wanting from me. I remember going through Waterloo Station and I'm being stopped and searched, and my bag's being checked and this being checked. I'm just like, hold on a minute, and I'm just literally checking on my phone, this, and I'm questioning him about this and why are you asking me this? This is not necessary for you to ask me this, and blah 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 blah. But again, that I'm lucky. I don't count myself
Yeah.
as anything above my peers and my brothers and sisters, or anybody that's going through those sort of situations, because those, if you're not in the right mind frame, or there's days where I've been ignorant with the police and told them to shut up and stuff like that. I have been like that. There has been times they've interrogated me to the point where I do become ignorant with them, and then they say, "Oh, why are you behaving like that?" I'm like, "Stop talking to me, because you're choosing."
Yeah, but it's an emotional thing, and like from listening to your story from start to finish and what we're speaking about, you seem to be the exception to the rule. You seem to be the one that's been lucky enough to go against the system, because nothing that you have experienced is normal. And how you've been lucky to have parents who let you go in this direction and that direction. Not how many people have that? How many people have the opportunity? And you're, like I said, you're an exception to the rule. You're not what Britain wants you to be. You're not the system. You've gone against the system. But how? And